Luke chapter 24, verses 1 through 35. Now on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, they and certain other women with them came to the tomb bringing the spices which they had prepared. But they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. Then they went in and did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. And it happened, as they were greatly perplexed about this, that, behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. Then, as they were afraid and bowed their faces to the earth, they said to them, Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spoke to you while he was still in Galilee, saying, The Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men, and be crucified, and the third day rise again. And they remembered his words. Then they returned from the tomb and told all these things to the 11, and to all the rest. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the other women with them who told these things to the apostles. And their words seemed to them like idle tales, and they did not believe them. But Peter arose and ran to the tomb, and stooping down he saw the linen cloths lying by themselves, and he departed, marveling to himself at what had happened. Now behold, two of them were traveling that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. So it was, while they conversed and reasoned, that Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were restrained, so that they did not know him. And he said to them, What kind of conversation is this that you have with one another as you walk and are sad? Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered and said to him, Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem, and have you not known the things which happened there in these days? And he said to them, What things? So they said to him, The things concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we were hoping that it was he who was going to redeem Israel. Indeed, besides all this, today is the 3rd day since these things happened. Yes, and certain women of our company who arrived at the tomb early astonished us. When they did not find his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of angels who said he was alive. And certain of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see. Then he said to them, O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken, ought not the Christ to have suffered these things, and to enter into his glory? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. Then they drew near to the village where they were going, and he indicated that he would have gone farther, but they constrained him, saying, Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And he went in to stay with them. Now it came to pass, as he sat at the table with them, that he took bread, blessed, and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished from their sight. And they said to one another, Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the road, and while he opened the scriptures to us? So they rose up that very hour and returned to Jerusalem, and found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, The Lord is risen indeed, and has appeared to Simon. And they told about the things that had happened on the road, and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. As we read this beautiful story today about the disciples on the road to Emmaus, who meet and travel with Jesus along the way, I think about how this is one of the first divine liturgies And the two disciples don't even realize it until later. First, they discussed the scriptures, and Jesus showed them how what was written in the Old Testament is to be read in such a way that we see that it's about Jesus. And the beginning of our liturgy, which we usually call the Liturgy of the Word, we do the same thing. We read the scriptures and teach how they present Jesus to us. And then Jesus takes the bread, blesses it, breaks it, and gives it to the two disciples. And when they receive, they immediately recognize that it's Jesus who is present with them. They said, "Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us on the road and while he opened the scriptures to us?" This happened to them, and they weren't expecting to be with Christ. As for us, we go to the divine liturgy knowing that we are to be with Christ, knowing that he will be present in a mystical but very real way. St. John of Kronstadt said, "The divine liturgy is truly a heavenly service upon earth, during which God himself, in a particular, immediate, and most close manner, is present and dwells with men, being himself the invisible celebrant of the service, offering and being offered. There is nothing upon earth holier, higher, grander, more solemn, more life-giving than the liturgy." Imagine if we were to fully recognize this, to prepare our hearts before the service to recognize this. Like the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, our hearts would burn within us as well as we worship during the liturgy. Christ is risen. I'm Father Alexis, and remember, Christ is in our midst.